Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization Dirt Road Roundtable Drive. This is our form of a podcast. Oh, I don't know why my GPS is on.
I think she just turned herself on.
Okay, we're on the south side of the Olympic Forest. And we just did a hike in this area because we just stopped to have drinks and stuff, scouting the area, kind of taking a break from driving while we're scouting around, and we heard vocalizations out in the forest the direction we're facing. So we hiked back in there to investigate, and not only did we hear vocalizations, a growl. Jenny had the shotgun mic turned on after we started hiking, and so hopefully she captured something. But hiking back in there, we found some bedding spots, a bunch of snap-offs and little like warning structures. But the coolest thing that I feel like I found, or we found back there, was a Bigfoot handprint where one had been sitting down where they had been bedding. Right next to where it was setting and the bedding spot, we found almost 18-inch footprints and another one that was 12 and a half, 13. But probably a couple of more that we didn't find their tracks. We've discovered that Bigfoot's not a loner. There's usually at least two, sometimes more. Yeah, Washington is #1 for Bigfoot sightings in the world, the most Bigfoot sightings. And this area, the Olympic Forest and the surrounding areas, is
Oh, there's a creek right there.
Is close to #1.
So there's water right here.
Nice.
Well, what I had noticed before we went back in there is vocalizations from two different directions.
Oh yeah.
Pretty far off from each other. And we heard them a few more times, but then they quit once we started getting back in there a ways. And they just stopped, and we hadn't heard them since.
I think you give them another hour or two after the sun goes down, they'll get more aggressive with all that. But in the daylight, Bigfoot seems to be a little bit more subdued. Neat.
Those footprints you could see where each toe went in, and where the handprints were, you could see where the big thumb went in.
And the fingers like kind of drove down into the soil and the moss and stuff right there.
Well, all around that area you could see the small branches woven in between all the other branches as if they've been there a while.
Oh yeah.
They've spent some time there, so.
It's right across the clearing from a water source. I can't believe how big the trees are in here.
Yeah, the closer you get to the coast, the bigger trees get, the right conditions.
It is so such a nice temperature in here.
We don't do many podcasts where we sit at home on our computers. We like to do them when we're driving in and out of our Bigfoot research areas, or investigation areas, whatever you want to call it. Like to talk about our experiences in and out, new experiences, old experiences. Just a great way for us to give a podcast, and you guys can see the bigger area of a Bigfoot sighting location. Now this is the spot where we heard the vocalizations before.
Right.
I'm just going to slow down.
Right here, not long after we got out, we started hearing the...
Did you hear it?
No.
I heard a crow.
That's what it was? Okay. I just heard,
Yeah, as a crow.
No, this was something entirely different. I've never heard a vocalization quite like that.
I've never heard a growl like that until Jenny pointed out that it sounded like when a gator growls.
it was kind of like a choppy howl, like.
Yeah. It was a pop. I can't even describe it.
But it wasn't high pitched either. Though.
No.
Well, I heard the first vocalizations back there after I threw a rock against a tree. I went, what happened? Like 3-4 seconds after I had thrown the rock up against the tree, that's when I heard the whoop whoop back in there. And I'm like, did you guys hear that?
I did hear a couple of whoops while we were back in that bedding area.
Oh, that's right. I did get to hear them today. Sometimes I don't hear them, but I did today.
They were loud.
They
You
were
couldn't
really loud.
not hear them. Yeah, you could tell that whole area had a lot of activity, but only the one bedding area that we went and filmed had fresh impressions, as the other ones were just kind of faint.
Yeah, Brody was pointing out that type of moss, they made the impressions and comes back fairly quickly, so that's telling us they were pretty fresh. The footprints, the handprints, the butt prints. It looked to me like its butt and thighs were right there. And you guys will get to see it on film. We'll definitely put everything that we filmed while we were hiking back in there. And it's so thick in there. You get off the road and the trail, you can only see like 10 feet. And it's just too thick to really make out anything any further.
The one thing I noticed, or didn't notice, was any particular smells back in there while we were back in there. There was no like...
I smelt, you were talking, so I didn't point it out. We were filming and we were talking. When we got to the bedding spot, I could smell something different that wasn't like before. And then either I got used to it or it faded away. Like I could smell that something had been there. I mean, not the like rank, skunky garbage smell everybody says Bigfoot smells like, but it smelled to me like an animal had just been there. Either I got used to it or it dissipated, and by the time, I don't know, there was so much excitement going on. We found footprints and just a lot of stuff just made me forget to mention that.
I just didn't smell it when we were back there. It might have just...
Yeah, it wasn't the rank stuff that everybody associates with Bigfoot. I mean, I don't know if Bigfoot always smells that rank. I mean, maybe the males musk during mating season. Maybe if they find a dead carcass, they roll in it like a dog would. Who knows? So maybe they don't always stink. Maybe they only stink when they want to. And hey, this is the first person we've saw back here. That's the first person we've seen in hours. The Jeep Wrangler. Careful, Squatch is back there. I think we just pissed him off.
Pissed them off.
Yeah, we just come in and trampled around his bedding spot.
Yeah.
I thought you said this was the safe spot. Yeah, we've been scouting out places to hike and everything today. And we just stopped there for a second to grab, you know, a drink out of the cooler and everything. And then all that happened. So we hiked in a spot that didn't even look promising. We just did it because of the vocalizations we had just heard. Crazy.
So what provoked did anything provoke that vocalization?
Yeah, because we were just stopped and getting you know, for a couple of minutes and getting ready to leave, I purposely threw a rock up against the tree to make a wood knock.
That's what.
And I was like, you know, never expected to get a reaction, and then like 3 to 5 seconds later, those whoops, and I'm like, did you guys hear that? And then Jenny grabbed a camera and started moving closer to the forest and saying that she just heard another one. I walked up next to her, and we heard something growling back in there.
Right.
And it's not like a bear growl or anything. And Jenny mentioned it. We've been watching the Naked and Afraid XL, the season where they're in, is it the Louisiana swamps? Alabama swamps. Well, they've caught a few gators and stuff in there, and at night, one of the gators, because their camps are right close to water, one of the gators was growling, make a grumbling, intimidating sound, and that's what it sounded like. Jenny's like, that sounded like an alligator back in there.
There's no alligators here.
Well,
not even close. Yeah.
After you said you heard a growl, I really was reluctant to want to go back in there with.
That's why I was like, it wasn't a grizzly bear, Brody.
With just bear spray. I didn't bring any weapons. We have nothing. I have nothing. As far as just spray. So.
You got your karate moves.
But once we got back in there, I was just so excited to see all that stuff. I stopped caring about being concerned about the growl. So.
Yeah, once we started finding Bigfoot activity and tracks and everything, when I'm with a group of friends...
that branch was twisted.
When I'm with a group of friends in the daytime, I'm not intimidated by Bigfoot. Now, after dark, when it becomes his time of day, that's a different story. It's a little intimidating. So once we found Bigfoot activity, it made me realize that growling sound was probably a Bigfoot. Their infrasound, it was that low, deep.
Well, yeah, but we're in a different area. These are the Skookums. I'm not sure how aggressive they are.
Yeah, they do call them the Skookum here.
What was that? It sounded like something just chucked a branch through the trees over there.
This is such a neat forest.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see a snap off back there. I saw it was actually a twisted branch. Like it wasn't just knocked over, it was twisted.
We saw a lot of vegetation manipulation. Guys, help us keep an eye out for Squatch in the forest on either side of the vehicle. We can only look one direction at a time. I don't know if you guys heard me throw a rock up against the tree before those vocalizations happened. The thud that it made sounded pretty weak.
That was a weak.
It was a weak attempt at a wood knock. And it still provoked a reaction.
Well, I wandered off in the trees, a few hundred feet away just to see what was going on over there. And that's when I heard the vocalizations, a couple of them, out in the distance away from where you guys were. That's when I came back, and you were telling me there was a different vocalization from the other direction. I didn't hear that. And the growl. So.
You never heard the growl?
No.
I think Jenny heard the growl twice, and I heard it once.
And I heard it when me and Brody, you were in front of us, and then me and Brody were a little ways in back of you, and then it went all creepy.
Was the camera on when that happened?
Yes, it was.
All right, we'll have to review that footage and see if that shotgun mic got it. Was the shotgun mic aimed in that direction?
Yeah.
You think it was loud enough for her to pick it up?
I heard it.
If that microphone's pointed in the direction something's coming, it's pretty powerful. It's like a parabolic.
Okay.
Completely directional, though. If you're off by a few feet, it might miss it. But I capture sounds that I'm just like, no way. or you don't think it will?
Yeah, well, there, back in that bedding area, there wasn't just one or two or a walkway of tracks. There were a few deep ones where you could see that it had a walkway, but then you could see just a lot of traffic of it, just kind of, you know, of a lot of different impressions all over within there. So it was kind of like they were just kind of hanging out there in that spongy, mossy material that's going to bounce back, you know, fairly quickly. So it shows that they were in there recently, or something was in there recently.
Okay, and something I want to point out about that type of moss we were in is soft and good for insulation, and a lot of survivalists, if that's available when they're making their survival shelter, they'll use it as bedding because it makes a soft mattress, and they'll also use it as chinking and stuff to help insulate their shelter. So great place for a Bigfoot to bed down, nice and soft and insulated.
And dry.
Yeah, it's spongy. It conforms to your body like one of those memory foam mattresses.
It did feel a lot like a mattress when you were standing on it.
It's nature's memory foam. And just like memory foam, it eventually bounces back up. So you saying, you know, this is pretty fresh because it'll eventually bounce back up. That's pretty amazing. I'm still amazed at the handprint and the knuckle prints where you could see something was sitting right next to the bedding spot.
I mean, I like to see all the evidence and stuff too, but at the same time, I'm more excited about the vocalizations and having something there present with us. That's actually more exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything points to we may have just pushed out of, we may have pushed the creatures out of the spot that just made the vocalizations. After looking around and trying to find every single footprint and spending well over an hour at their bedding spot, and them getting real quiet, or whatever was vocalizing got real quiet and quit, we left. We are 120 miles from base camp. Our base camp's over by Mount St. Helens, and right now we're in the Olympic Forest.
On the Olympic Mountain.
Olympic
National
Mountains.
Forest?
No, we're not in the National Forest.
Oh,
we're in
we're
the Olympic Mountains.
Okay, so
The Olympic National Forest is a little bit north of us here.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
We're kind of in between a reservation, the national park.
So what I noticed is back in there used to be, it looked like there was a popular camping spot at one point, but then it had all overgrown.
Yeah.
And even the campfire had branches and, you know, grass overgrown over the campfire. So to me, it's been a while since someone's been camping back in there.
I know, it makes me wonder if there's a reason people don't camp there anymore.
Well, if you notice, trees were actually pulled over the trail as to kind of say, don't come back this way. And, you know, that's what I noticed.
Cottonwood, I'm allergic to that stuff. I was hoping it was a loop. I think it's making us go back the way we came. Oh, you can smell everybody's campfires. Hope you guys enjoy our form of a podcast. It's kind of nice to see the greater area surrounding these Bigfoot sightings. what got me to start doing these driving roundtables many years ago is studying Bigfoot sighting reports. Over half the reports are from the seat of a car. People will see it across the road or off the side of the road, and that's a big percentage of Bigfoot sightings. So it makes sense when we're driving in and out of these Bigfoot sighting hotspots, where we go to the report locations, hike around, to give you guys a bigger view. And always that chance of seeing something off the side of the road or even cross the road. We spent a lot of time this week on the north and south side of Mount St. Helens. We went over to Mount Adams, and we went on a seasonal road that warned that it was closed due to snow. And it's pretty much one of those situations where they said, you know, we haven't cleared the snow, it was a really bad winter, you probably can't get back there. And we was able to get over the dirt road pass and everything back in there, and we went on a hike at a location there and found an amazing footprint next to a creek where we were hiking.
We found more than one, but one was really good.
Yeah, the one that next to the creek was like 2.5 inches deep and very well defined, the heel and toes, and that footprint was so deep that it created a gypsy well, because it was a good like foot or two away from the actual creek, but the footprint was so deep that it filled with water. So it was really good contrast. On film you could see it really well because it had filled with water.
That was just a random place we just pulled off. There wasn't even a trail that went out to that area where that footprint was.
Yeah. We just went far into the woods until we couldn't see where anybody else could make it.
Yeah, just crawling over deadfall. Found a little brook back in there.
Are those vocalizations available to listen to?
Yeah.
That man made?
Yes, I can put them in the description of the video that he recorded. I have a copy of Joshua's Brown's thermal and some of his vocalizations, and I include some other vocalizations in that, like his and 2 other sets. A Honda Apache chord from Arizona, and I believe the other vocalizations are ones that we recorded that are in that video, but I'll put a link in the description of the video to those. You know, one of the reasons that we're here looking around is because of Joshua Brown recordings in this general vicinity, and it's also a Bigfoot sighting hotspot. There's all kinds of other Bigfoot sightings in this area, so that kind of motivated us to come in here. So I'll put that in the link of the video.
But the camera caught those first vocalizations that we heard, the howling from far away.
Because we didn't have the shotgun mic on the camera.
Didn't have that on there, but we might have got the throaty growl one that was back in the bushes.
Yeah, that one's kind of intimidating.
Brody was like, that sounded like a dinosaur. I was like, it sounded like a crocodile.
Oh yeah, as we started walking in there,
Yes.
and it's still vocalizing.
Yeah.
It did sound like a dinosaur.
It sounded like a dinosaur.
Yeah, when we was at the 77 structure in Sasquatch Canyon, and Jenny and I captured a vocalization that neither one of us acknowledged. We were crossing a creek and concentrating on that, and maybe the sound of the creek, we didn't hear it, but neither one of us acknowledged it. And I'm listening, you know, when I was editing our material together, it sounded like a T-Rex vocalizing off in the background, and I'm like, oh my gosh, neither one of us acknowledge it. But that's one of my favorite vocalizations we've caught, being in a Bigfoot sighting location. Yeah, we had a lot going on right there. The sound of the creek, plus we were concentrating on crossing it without falling in or falling down. And creek's not a very good description. I mean, to some people it's a river, some it's a creek. It was about 15 feet wide and a few feet deep. And we were crossing a beaver dam. We were using the beaver dam as a bridge.
Yeah, that was a small river.
Well, I get nervous. I don't want to fall in and ruin all my camera gear.
We have footage of all of us falling at one point or another.
Oh yeah, I do it a lot.
I know I have this footage where Derek's talking to the camera, so I got it aimed at him, and I think I'm even like contributing to the conversation. And when I was editing the video together, Jenny's in the background and she walks over here and falls down, walks over here and falls down, then walks over here and falls down.
I know.
It was a really crappy spot. It wasn't like the flat normal ground. We were on a dry riverbed, all kinds of stuff. It was really rough hiking, but yeah, I was like, I didn't even notice because me and Derek were into what we were talking about, but when I was editing together, I'm like, oh my gosh, we totally had no idea that she's walking around and fell down 3 times walking ahead of us.
I just don't look where I'm walking, and then, you know, a bush or a tree limb like snag my foot, and I just trip over it.
For some reason, I fall down a lot more when I have a backpack on. Even if there isn't that much weight in it, it like just throws off my center of balance just enough that I fall down a little bit more often.
You caught me going down in Rough Hollow. It was all snowy and icy. Just went down.
If I've seen Derek almost slide off a cliff before. His paranoia played into that, in my opinion. If he had just stayed on the trail, he'd have been fine, but he's like afraid of heights, so he got as far away from the edge as he could, so he climbed up the hill, and then he hit mud and ice, and so he slid down the hill onto the ledge and almost went off the ledge that he should have just been walking on anyway. So yeah, out of all my friends I know, he's the most paranoid of heights. Alright, we're back down in civilization. So we're going to end our dirt road roundtable drive. Hope you guys enjoyed the look around a Bigfoot sighting hotspot. Anything cool happens on our way back to base camp, we'll certainly put it at the end of this video. Keep on watching. We'll keep on squatching.